Dear friends of the Christian democracy in Peru, it is a great honor and pleasure to send these greetings to your national conference. I think you are all aware that we are at an extremely important moment in history, where world peace is not safe. We are still in an acute danger zone of a reversed Cuban Missile Crisis over the situation in Ukraine and the continued expansion of NATO eastward towards the Russian border. This has been going on despite promises made to Russia during the time of the German unification in 1990-1991, where the promise was given to Gorbachev that NATO would not move 1 inch eastward. But NATO has moved 1,000 kilometers to the east. 14 countries have joined NATO. And right now you have a very fragile situation, where the media are talking about, Russia would attack Ukraine, which Russia denied. In any case, the situation is extremely volatile, and a little sign of hope comes from the discussions which just took place in Geneva between the United States and Russia, between NATO and Russia in Brussels, and in Vienna in the OSCE discussion, that maybe diplomacy will replace confrontation and that new arms control discussions can actually start in earnest. But the real reason behind this geopolitical crisis is that the systemic crisis of the neoliberal system is coming to a head. My late husband, Lyndon LaRouche, has made a forecast 50 years ago in 1971, when President Nixon decoupled the dollar from the gold standard and replaced fixed exchange rates with floating ones. My husband at that point said, if the world continues on that course of monetarism, sooner or later the world would be faced with the danger of a new depression, new fascism, and even the danger of a new world war, unless a new financial system and a new credit system would be implemented with a new just world economic order. I think the countries of the developing sector are more acutely aware of this problem than anybody else, that we have now the danger of a hyperinflationary collapse. You see it in the price of energy, of food, of basic raw materials. And the worst humanitarian crisis of the many is naturally happening in Afghanistan now, where after the withdrawal of NATO in August and the takeover of the Taliban, when the Western countries cut off the aid to Afghanistan because they didn't like the Taliban. But everybody knew at the time that 75% of the budget of Afghanistan came from international aid. And when that money was cut off, all of a sudden, the economy of Afghanistan was plunged into an absolute chaos. Now, the United Nations is warning dramatically again and again that there are 8 million people right now who are in immediate danger of starvation. They're dying of hunger and freezing right now as you hear my words. The United Nations Food Programme also warned that there is the danger that 23 million people may not outlive this winter if there is not a dramatic change in the situation. And that over 90% of the people have not enough food, are food insecure, have not enough medicine or no medicine at all in the middle of a pandemic, and that 98% of the people are in danger of becoming permanently extremely poor, which is a starvation level. Now, this is why I have called for what I call Operation Ibn Sina, in reference to the great physician who lived 1,000 years ago, who is the father of modern medicine, who was the one who first discovered quarantine as a symbol that we have to build a modern health system in every single country on the planet, starting with Afghanistan, but not limiting it. Every country must have access to modern medicine, modern hospitals, and this is obviously only possible if you have electricity, if you have clean water. 2 billion people of the world have no access to clean water. That has to be immediately reversed. We need basic infrastructure. And, this building of a World Health System must become the beginning of overcoming underdevelopment and poverty in the world for good forever. 2022 is the year where my late husband would celebrate his 100th birthday. And that's why I have called that the year 2022 must become the year of LaRouche. It is the year where all the beautiful plans which he developed in his lifetime must be realized. He developed already in the 70s a plan to develop Africa through a large infrastructure program as the precondition for industrial development. He worked together, as you all know, with López Portillo, the president of Mexico, on what he called Operation Juarez, which was the idea that all of Latin America must be integrated and must have a coherent infrastructure program as the precondition for agriculture and industry to develop. This program of Operation Juarez is more actual today than ever before. He also worked with Indira Gandhi. We worked with her on a 40-year development program for India, which was the idea that you need, at that time in 79, about 2 generations to reach a modern development state for the nation of India. After 91, we proposed the Eurasian land bridge. This has become the basic idea which is now being carried out by China with the Belt and Road Initiative. We published the study, The New Silk Road Becomes the World Land Bridge. Now, this is the hope because, the fact that China and about 150 nations signed memorandums of understanding with China to cooperate in the Belt and Road Initiative is where the development of the world is taking place right now. And we, the LaRouche movement and the Schiller Institute, have made it our commitment to try to convince the United States and Europe to cooperate with the Belt and Road Initiative and not oppose it for geopolitical reasons. This is the program to overcome poverty and underdevelopment and create a decent living standard for every person on the planet. Now, this is the obvious task and challenge for us, because it should not be self-evident and accepted that several billion of people are living in poverty. Poverty eradication is the absolute demand of this coming year. And the reason why we can be optimistic about the human species finally accomplishing that is because, as my husband said many times, the human species is the only species which has the ability of creative reason. We can do what no animal species can do. We can make fundamental discoveries about physical principles of the universe, and when we apply those principles as technologies in the production process, it leads to an increase of the productivity of the labor force and of the productive forces. And that is the way how to increase the living standard, the life expectancy, and to create the conditions for an improvement of the general welfare. It is the principle of physical economy and not monetarism which we have to bring back to the world economy. This coming year, we will see a worsening of the crisis, because there is no way how this casino economy will last forever. It will come to a point of crisis where we need to put all forces of the world together, people of goodwill, to implement the 4 laws of Linden-LaRouche. The first of which is a global Glass-Steagall banking separation. The speculation of the derivative casino has to come to an end forever, and the economy must again be put to the service of the people. The second is we need a national bank in the tradition of Alexander Hamilton in every single country. And when these national banks among the different countries work together, then that can create a new Bretton Woods credit system, which will provide credit lines for long-term investment and, the kind of infrastructure programs which Latin America needs in the same way like parts of Asia and Africa and even parts of Europe which are not yet developed. Now this can be done, and I think we should be optimistic that this coming year is going to be the year where that is going to be put on the table, because the crisis will demand it. Well, I had the fortune, together with my husband, to visit your country in 1987. And I have the most beautiful memories to that visit. And I think Peru is a great nation which has an absolutely great population. And I wish you the best possible future for your country and the great success for your conference. And I look forward to our collaboration so that we together bring humanity from the abyss of a catastrophe and start to create a new paradigm in international relations and start a new, more optimistic chapter in the history of humanity. All my greetings to you.